Good to see you again, and welcome to another episode of Abuja File, where we'll bring you updates of events happening here in the FCT. My name is Sandra Ago, and if you're just joining us for the first time, here on Abuja File, I catch you up to speed with whatever happening or whatever that is happening here in the FCT. And this week in the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory Administration said the demolition of the 30-year-old UTC complex was carried out to give way for a better restructuring of the complex. The Deputy Director of Monitoring and Inspection, Department of Development Control, FCTA, Hassan Obole, said the structures were overdue for restructuring to fit into the shopping complex model required to grow small and medium enterprises. He said that the structures were defective and there was need to upgrade them to meet up the global business standards. Mr. Obole said the provisions have been made for the traders and other complex occupants to enable easy restructuring of the complex. He also added that several notices have been given to the occupant to enable them or to give them enough time to move out and allow the restructuring to start. He added that aside from the need to restructure the complex, there was also need to curtail criminal activities prevalent to the area, such as thuggery and faking of official documents. A trader in the complex, Samuel Onochukwu, said the traders and other occupants of the complex were worried about the development because the temporary site provided for them was not secured for business activities. And in more stories, the Federal Capital Administration has also said it will support development of bicycle lanes and the provision of the arterial or district infrastructures across the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in furtherance of climate change mitigation and for the comfort of the cyclist. FCT Permanent Secretary Olushade Adeshola gave the assurance in Abuja while flagging up the 2023 Bicycle Day with the theme, Cycling, a better way to enjoy the city. Adeshola said the FCT administration would pay attention to the development of bicycle lanes already designed in the Abuja Master Plan, as it will go a long way to sustain the campaign for climate change by reducing emissions. He also said cycling is a very enjoyable sport and residents will be encouraged to imbibe the culture of using it as a mode of transportation in the FCT. And in his words, he said, and I quote, "Cycling can be very intensive as a competitive sport and even for leisure or for pleasure that you ride to the right and to the left in a very pleasant manner. The benefit of cycling is enormous because it can improve the heartbeat and strengthen the limbs because of the workout involved. It is a form of exercise that needs to be promoted." Also, Adesola commended the Indian High Commission for its consistent support to Nigerians in organizing the event to mark World Bicycle Day as enshrined in the United Nations Declaration. Okay, while you're getting your bicycles ready, now moving to the next story. In a move targeted towards contributing and giving back to the society, the coordinator Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association Garrison Chapter, Asmau Garba, yesterday donated food items and toiletries to patients at the Sokoro General Hospital and to teachers at Naowa Primary School in the Federal Capital Territory here in Abuja. Asmau Garba, while making the donations on Thursday, called on well-meaning Nigerians and organizations to emulate the act of showing support to people who are in need. Now, KAFTAN TV's correspondent Maliki Duro tells us the rest of the story.
The coordinator, Nigeria Army Officers' Wife Association NAOWA Garrison Chapter, Mrs. Asmau Garba, who visited the Sokoro General Hospital and NAOWA Primary School, said the best form of humanity is kindness, which can be demonstrated through the act of giving to the less privileged people.
To pay a courtesy visit, to see the sick people, to reflect with them, to chat with them, to cheer them up, to wish them well. It's touching. People are going through so many pain and healthy, and not even conscious of it, taking it for granted. Services and sacrifices they are making to humanity. Teachers are undoubtedly the most important members of the society. We are all the result of teachers. So Teachers are an inspiration. They guide our children, they lead them to success. So we are here to identify with them and show them love and appreciate them.
In her response, Nurse Aisha, who represented the hospital management, charged Nigerians to cultivate the habit of giving to the needy, adding that many of the victims could not pay their hospital bills.
And then we accepted them. We just thanked them for the visits. We appreciate them. I appreciate them on behalf of the hospital management, and we pray God Almighty will reward them and more. We expect more and more from them. They did good, but we expect more from them. Thank you so much. There are a lot of challenges. It's the hospital. People are sick. People cannot pay their bills. People are hungry. It's the hospital. People are in pain, as she said. So a lot of challenges. Anywhere they can touch lives, they come. We appreciate. We thank them so much.
Meanwhile, head teacher now at Model Nursery and Primary School, Lauren Shola Abraham, lauded the initiative.
First in its kind.
Wow.
And for teachers to be remembered for this type of visitation and the distribution of palliative is a welcome address and a booster to teacher, and to show that those who are the days when they say teachers reward are in heaven, teachers reward has actually come to teachers here on earth through our mommy here. And when we get back to work tomorrow, I'm going to encourage teachers to do more, because somebody somewhere is watching them.
Some of the items donated to the school include bag of rice, beverages, biscuits, detergents, drinks, toiletries, among others.
And moving to other stories we have in our file this week, newly sworn in Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, on Wednesday assumed office and received several reports which his predecessor, Boss Mustafa, said will help hit the ground running. Boss Mustafa, who enumerated some of the roles of the SGF, noted that there are a few pending issues that should be prioritized by the newly sworn-in SGF. He made this known at the office handing over, which took place at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in Abuja. Here's the rest of that story.
Boss Mustafa opined that President Muhammadu Buhari had signed Executive Order 13, which is on improving performance management, coordination, and implementation of presidential priorities of the federal government of Nigeria. According to him, the goal is to institutionalize a culture of accountability and transparency in service delivery, while the Executive Order 14 was on the facilitation and management of presidential transition to enable a timely and seamless transition and consequent execution of the functions of the office of the President by President-elect.
Interfaces with 14 constitutional bodies as provided in the Constitution. We interface with them. We don't pretend over them because most of them are independent, like the Independent National Electoral Commission and the rest of them. But administratively, we interface with them. Undoubtedly, the office is a challenging one, especially as it is saddled with the responsibility of being the Secretariat of the President and by extension, advising the government on broad policy matters across the nation's political, social, and economic milieu. However, it is worthy of note that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is supported in the discharge of the duties of the office by a dedicated crop of staff led by their respective permanent secretaries, as well as heads of departments, units, and their supporting staff.
Giving Akume a mental picture of the tax area, the outgone SGF disclosed that there are 16 agencies within the purview of the office of the SGF. According to him, the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is the arm of the presidency charged with the responsibility of ensuring effective coordination and monitoring the implementation of approved government policies and programs.
God forbid, you are confronted with a pandemic. If you look at that report, it will provide you with a basis of how to structure a national response that has completely prove naysayers wrong in their expectations of us picking dead bodies on the street of Nigeria. So that is a very important template that the world is using today. And number 7 here, Implementation Committee of Special Detainees linked to Boko Haram insurgency. We have a report there. There is also a report on the Judicial Commission of Inquiry of Investigation of Mr. Ibrahim Magu, the acting chairman of EFCC. I believe that all these reports would help you in addressing the issues that might arise. And lastly, the report of the Presidential Transition Council due for submission by the 30th of June. The Transition Council had a lifespan of an additional 1 month after inauguration to prepare its report and submit to Mr. President. So I will be a frequent visitor to your office as I round up that activity and make sure that we have a detailed report that we submit to Mr. President, which will set the future template for smooth and timeless transition as we have witnessed in the last 1 week.
Meanwhile, in his speech, Judge Akume appreciated Boss Mustafa for the show of love and called for the full cooperation of the directors and staff of the office.
Policies and sometimes conflicts, but they are formulated in order to move society forward. We will continue to do our best, starting from where you have left. So once again, I thank you for your understanding.
Being the 20th Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the President Bola Tinubu had administered the oath of office and Judge Akume earlier at the presidential villa.
And also, as Nigerians join the rest of the world to celebrate World Environmental Day, the Ministry of Environment in Abuja, in collaboration with various organizations, have shed light on the alarming statistics revealing that 24% of global deaths are attributable to environmental issues. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Yusuf Ibrahim, stressed the need of rising awareness amongst Nigerians about the proper reuse, recycling and responsible disposal of plastic to mitigate the hazards it presents. Akogun Zainab has more.
Plastic pollution remains one of the most significant challenges facing our planet today, particularly as it is the largest, most harmful and persistent form of marine litter. The Federal Ministry of Environment, in partnership with other organizations, celebrated the World Environment Day today in Abuja, with its theme Beat Plastic Pollution, aimed to achieve more awareness on how to reuse, recycle the plastic for adequate use in order to avoid dangers that plastic poses to human health. Speaking at an event today in Abuja, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Yusuf Ibrahim, underscored the government's commitment to combating plastic pollution.
Plastic has become an integral part of society due to its wide range of uses and economic benefits. However, it has negative consequences to human health, natural ecosystem, and the climate. Nigeria is no stranger to the concerns over the increasing quantum of plastic waste in our environment from all manner of sources, such as packaging, storage of food, drinks, beverages, shopping, among others, as they litter the environment, block drainages, resulting in flooding and also release toxic gases when burnt or incinerated, with devastating effects on our health and the environment. And low level of awareness, inadequate data, appropriate information, among others. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we need to make the environmental changes needed in an area of plastic pollution in order to conserve our planet.
Representative from the European Union stressed the importance of creating a conducive environment for innovation.
It's an issue, and today we had a presentation where they show that some country decided simply to ban single use of plastics, and probably this could be a next step for the government to decide But then, of course, it's obvious to the government to decide on the best way to do. Climate is a problem, and we see a change. We heard the government mentioning flooding in the past. This is clear consequence of climate change. Yet, we need to have an established measurement and reporting and verification system. The government is receiving support from the EU through this program, through the Department of Climate Change, and we welcome the recent as well creation of the Nigerian Climate Change Council, which, according to us, is a correct step to fight climate change.
Other partner organizations emphasize the need to eradicate plastic pollution by advocating for behavioral changes, encouraging plastic recycling programs, and introducing initiatives to reduce plastic consumption.
Environmental education needs to be introduced from nursery to tertiary, so that people will understand. A lot of people don't even understand what is going on. There's no more sanitation in their curriculum. There's no more citizenship. People don't understand. A father would decide to do what is wrong. There's serious latent consequences and marathonic consequential effects of pollution of the environment. Environmentalism and pollution has made the whole world to be a global village. That same refuse can go to a village in the south to block the gutter by your grandmother's mud house.
As the alarming statistics revealed, the impact of environmental issues on human health cannot be ignored. The event also highlighted the critical role individuals, communities, and governments must play in protecting and nurturing the environment for the well-being of current and future generations.
And the federal government has announced the commencement of 2 additional train trips on the Abuja-Kaduna train service, which was suspended. The board and management of Nigerian Rail Corporation made the announcement in a statement by the manager of AKTS, Mr. Pascal Noli, on Saturday. The additional train service resumed on June 4th with the following train trips. AK1 departed Idu in Abuja at 9:45 hours. AK2 or KA2 departs Rigasa in Kaduna State at 1:30 p.m. AK3 departs Idu here in Abuja at 3 o'clock. And subsequently from Monday, AK2 also departed Riga in Kaduna State at 8 o'clock. AK1 departed Idu in Abuja here at 9:45 a.m. AK4 departed Rigasa in Kaduna at 1:30 p.m. and AK3 departed Idu in Abuja at 3 o'clock. This statement read. And in more stories, the Institution for Human Virology Nigeria has completed its 8 billion naira twin tower, which will assist to bring quality health services within reach of Nigerians. The 7-story edifice located here in Abuja is a combination of lettable office buildings with clinical laboratories for diagnosis, research, and training, functional clinic space for patient care and clinical trials, biospecimen repositories for storage and management of biospecimen. The first phase includes multimedia lecture, auditoriums, meeting rooms, and as well as mini conference halls, offices, and multi-level car park. IHVN Chief Operating Officer Dr. Charles Olanliko Mensah, who disclosed this to newsmen, said the work of the second phase, which includes construction of a conference center and a hotel, will commence when funds are available. He said, and I quote, "We are still fundraising for the next phase and seeking support from high net worth individuals, companies, foundations, and official institutions." Mensah said the major problem in Nigeria is lack of maintenance culture, and that the institute places much emphasis on maintenance, adding that the resource to maintain the building and facilities would be sourced from leases. More stories in our file on Abuja File today. At the official launch of Access to Jobs and Markets in the Deepening Democracy, Ready to Lead Africa in Abuja, states that the initiative Ready to Trade and Ready to Work is to address unemployment in Nigeria and in Africa at large. Stakeholders added the initiative will enlighten the youth and empower them to acquire a means of livelihood. Now, KAFTAN TV's Victoria Ayorinde will tell us the rest of that story.
From the panel discussion to addressing challenges bewildering implementation of policies to boost economic growth, stakeholders state that the Ready to Trade and Ready to Work initiative is aimed at driving sustainable development and empowering the young ones through entrepreneurship. During the project launch in Abuja to seek partnership with the federal government, stakeholders added that the initiatives will help reduce unemployment and contribute to the nation's development.
This initiative empowers young Africans to thrive in today's competitive business environment. It aligns perfectly with the goal of the Yali Network Abuja to increase the percentage of skilled and employable youths in Africa while also encouraging the creation of diverse job opportunities through entrepreneurship.
According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, by the end of this year, the unemployment rate in Nigeria was down at almost 40%. This figure underscores the urgent need to address the unemployment challenges faced by our youth. It is imperative that we empower them with the tools and skills necessary to navigate the job market, unleash their entrepreneurial potential, and contribute to the growth of our nation.
When you see youth getting together like this, it means that there's purpose of getting together in this aspect to bring development to the nations and the African.
Some stakeholders pledged support to aid the implementation of the initiatives.
Strengthen the capacity of citizens and civil society organizations so that they can better engage government around good governance. As Commission, I think is really important because it could be an impediment for young people from engaging. So while we, on our own side, try to strengthen your capacity to advocate for reforms, then there is this marvelous group that is trying to strengthen your ability to actually reform.
God bless Obuture, Global President, Ready to Lead Africa, says the initiative is to bridge the gap that exists among the youth about Africa trades.
We want to ensure that we're able to increase the pocket capacities of our young people so that they have livelihoods, they have access to economic opportunities across the region. Ready to Work, on the other hand, is designed to improve the employability skills quotient of the average Nigerian and African graduate. Our goal is such that we want graduates who are employable, graduates who have an understanding of what the world of work demands. We don't want graduates who think that because of technology, life is now so easy, they can choose not to develop workplace skills. No, workplace skills are still needed, even if you are working remotely.
The objectives of this project is aimed at ensuring the youth across Africa have financial capacity and access to economic opportunities globally. Victoria Ayorinde, KAFTAN TV News.
Now, the United Nations, along other stakeholders, marked the 50th anniversary of the World Environment Day by raising grave concerns about the alarming threats faced by the global ecosystem. This year, the commemoration signifies 50 years of efforts to shed light on pressing challenges with focus on the elimination of plastic pollution and waste, implement policies and driving innovations to combat plastic pollution and protect planet for future generations. Also, KAFTAN TV's correspondent Benedict Uku tells us more.
According to reports from United Nations Environment Programme, over 400 million tons of plastic are produced annually worldwide, with half of it being designed for single purposes. Since its inception in 1973, World Environment Day has been instrumental in raising awareness about the concerned statistics of global deaths attributable to environment issues. In commemorating the occasion in Abuja, the United Nations Information Center says the primary focus is on spotlighting solutions to combat plastic pollution.
The World Environment Day is not only a day of celebration, but also a call to action. This is evident in the timely theme of the 2023, which urges us to seek solutions. In 50 years of the World Environment Day, plastic pollution in the sea has increased more than 10-fold. If present trends were to continue, by 2050, ocean will have more plastic in them than fish. We need to urgently address plastic pollution in Nigeria if we're to achieve the 2030 agenda and its SDGs.
Plastic products create greenhouse gas emissions. Experts say if no action is taken, greenhouse gas emission caused by plastic could account for 19% of the Paris Agreement's total allowable emissions in 2024 to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Not just about plastic, putting a law out and say, we are banning this, we are doing that, you must demonstrate capacity to follow it through. Please make it easier and cost-effective for efficient collection, processing of used plastic. Don't make it too difficult. We need effective policies and strategies. We need to incentivize, give loans, grant at what? Competitive, rate.
The representative from UNIDO UNESCO spoke about the implications of policies by Nigerian government to tackle issues of plastic pollution and how to help member states to beat the plastics.
We have supported the government of Nigeria. We work together to develop the national policy on solid waste management and the national policy on plastics waste management. So these two policies are not just sitting on the shelf. The Nigerian government made its own efforts to make sure that the Federal Executive Council approved these two policies. So Nigeria has a policy framework to work with.
We try to, as much as possible, use our programs and projects to assist our member states to prevent plastic waste from entering into rivers and into the seas. And the first thing that we do is to increase awareness on individual commitments. All of us, we have a commitment to ensure that plastics, is used. We cannot eliminate it because we use it. We use plastic buckets. This is made of plastics. We use plastic glass, our glass frames, plastic. So you cannot totally eliminate it. And so but you have to take, you have to be committed to ensure that it is reduced.
Other speakers highlighted the importance of research in modifying the composition of plastics to make them more environmentally friendly, as well as the significance of effective plastic management.
I made a little bit of research because when we first came up with it, it looked boring. Like when you just see it, it just be like pure water nylon. This is pure water nylon. It looks so. We did a customer survey to discover it, to be able to understand what people really want. How did they want it? And the feedback actually helped us in now understanding, okay, this is what they want. So let me show you something. Could you believe that this was made from detergent sachets? Yes. From detergent sachets, yes. And we made this from pure water sachets. Yes. Yes.
For companies who produce a lot of plastics, it's important that they do more in their approach towards plastic management. They've been doing quite a lot, but they can do more.
The commemoration of World Environment Day serves as a reminder that urgent action is needed to address the threats facing the ecosystem.
And sadly, this week in Abuja, armed men abducted a 7-year-old girl in Yangoji village in Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory here in Abuja. Mr. Sulaiman Musa, a resident of the village, told newsmen in Abuja that the hoodlums invaded the community in the early hours of Wednesday. He said the hoodlums invaded the village firing several gunshots before breaking into some houses where they abducted the 7-year-old girl. According to him, the quick intervention of a police team forced the gunmen to scramble out of the village. News agency also gathered that Kwali Divisional Police Headquarters responded to the distress call on the attack at about 5 a.m. on Wednesday. A source also said it was the swift response of the police personnel, hunters and vigilance members led by the Kwali Divisional Police officer that saved the community from further harm by the gunmen. He said the hoodlums engaged the security team in a gun battle before escaping with the abducted girl. The source said the security team is currently combing the area with a view to securing the girl and arresting the gunmen. Now, the Nigerian Police Force, in partnership with the European Union and United Nations International Children Emergency Fund (UNICEF), on Thursday implemented a child-friendly procedure for children in this child justice system. The aim is to enhance a workforce sensitive and responsive to specific needs and circumstances of children in Nigeria. Janet Ariyo tells us more.
Promoting child-friendly policing and access to justice for children is the objectives of the Nigerian police force. It was reported that less than 6% of children who experience violence, abuse, neglect and exploitation receive the services they need within the system. Hence, the official launch of the standard operating procedures that will aid in responding to these needs. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, pleased with the positive intervention from the EU and UNICEF, highlights the need to have a strategic approach in tackling child abuse in children's welfare.
Some children undergo punishment that they don't know anything about. So it's a very, very difficult case. We still want to continue from where we have developed the standard operating procedure. There are a lot of issues that still involve our children on the streets, in their homes, in their schools, in their process of learning, in their daily activities with even their parents. And therefore, government should be interested for us to have a whole of society approach in tackling the issue of child abuse and the children's welfare and other things.
The representatives of European Union and UNICEF speaks on the significant contribution of the SOPs to strengthening the justice system in Nigeria.
There is a large number of children in Nigeria who are survivors of violence. Very few of them have access to services, to access to justice and other mechanisms. But of course, more efforts are needed to ensure access to justice for survivors. There's an urgent need to ensure that vulnerable children access a child-friendly justice system and uphold their rights. So today's adoption of the standard operating procedure for handling cases involving children in contact with the law is an important step to ensure that procedures are sensitive, adapted, and responsive to the specific needs of children.
The main objectives of the SOPs are to provide guidance in dealing with the child that is in conflict, that is in contact with the law, to standardize the procedures for dealing with a child in contact with the law to ensure accountability, transparency, consistency, and uniformity, and specify the respective roles of the key agencies that are involved with children in contact with the law, and enhance collaboration and coordination among the key agencies that are involved in the administration of child justice in Nigeria. The Nigerian police force is on its way to strengthen its institutional capacity to become a force for good when you really look in terms of child-friendly services that will respond humanely and sensitively to uphold the rights of children in the justice system.
An overview of the standard operating procedures was highlighted.
The number and types of deaths identified in the map states are a representation of other deaths which are in operation in police stations throughout the country. The overall collected findings, the result of the entire mapping exercise, necessitated an urgent post-mapping and consultations with other relevant agencies. This was followed by the sensitization of senior officers of the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police and above, training of 3,300 desk officers across all the state commands, the training of 210 instructors in 7 police training institutions, including the Nigerian Police Academy, the Police Staff College, JOS, the police colleges in Ikeja and Kaduna, police training schools in Calabar and Ikeja. The product of all these efforts is the launching of the standard operating procedure for children in contact with the law, which ceremony we are witnessing here today.
Therefore, stakeholders commit to implementing standard operating procedures that will enhance and establish child protection and friendly services to facilitate access to justice, as justice delayed is justice denied. Janet Ario, KAFTAN TV News, Abuja.
And that's all we have this week in our file here on Abuja File. Till I come your way next time, I am Sandra Ago. Bye for now.
We love Abuja, and this is why we bring you events, reports, interviews, and everything relating to the FCT. This is Abuja File.
Stand before you today to accept the nomination of our party